Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's career discovery presentation on career and educational opportunities within the North Dakota Air National Guard. My name is Amanda Wajdula, University and Student Development Coordinator at Bank of North Dakota, and I will be leading you through today's webinar. Today's webinar is for students who are thinking of joining the military after high school with the North Dakota Air National Guard and what enlisting entails. Just some housekeeping items in the menu of the webinar. There is both a chat and a Q&A function that we will be monitoring and encourage all of you to use for the questions or comments that you have about today's webinar. Staff Sergeant Brandon Leier is a production recruiter for the North Dakota Air National Guard. He just surpassed his 8th year in the Guard and just started his new role of a recruiter in November of 2020. Brandon is originally from West Fargo, but moved to Bismarck in October of 2018. Welcome, Brandon.
Perfect. Thank you very much for the introduction. Like she said, Staff Sergeant in the Air National Guard. I was originally Security Forces before taking my new role as production recruiter. So right now it is my duty and my job to kind of introduce the Air Guard as an option for whether it be high school juniors, seniors, or even people that are out of the high school realm or in the college kind of realm, or even the job kind of world that we're living in now. So like I said, that's my job to kind of tell you what the Air Guard is all about. So I have a pretty quick presentation, pretty quick PowerPoint slideshow that just gives you the basics of what the Air Guard is. It's pretty simple. Everyone kind of has heard of the National Guard. We're the same. We're just on the Air Force side of everything. So without further ado, I'll get into my presentation here. We'll go on to the first slide. Just stating that we're part-time Air Force, just like the National Guard or the Army National Guard. They're the part-time weekend warriors, the part-time Army. Same thing, like I said, just the Air Force. Serve 1 weekend a month, and then the normal 15 days of annual training a year. With that, there are certain, so I will say that our base is based out of Fargo. We do have a job opportunity, one job opportunity up in Minot, which is security. So we do 1 weekend a month. Minot up north, they do 8 weekends or 8 drill periods. So they get a little bit more lenient. They have some more, little bit longer training days because they combine some months here and there, but it gives you a little extra break. So you're not doing 12 full months a year. You kind of have a little bit more freedom every once in a while. The 15 days of annual training, in Fargo, they can kind of split it up a little bit more and get you 5 days here, 5 days there. Whereas Minot, they're a little bit more, they're a higher caliber of security forces because they deal with all the nuclear assets. So their 15 days of annual training is very important to them. So they kind of keep that as 15 days of annual training straight through. That way they don't miss anything and you don't kind of do 5 days here, 5 days there and kind of lose some of the information in between. So on the next slide, we got some of our career fields within the Air Guard. We have 2 of our basic missions. The primary unit missions deal with the unmanned aircraft, which are the MQ-9 Reapers. I mean, we have jobs anywhere from helping out with repairing the actual drone, whether it's a crew chief or maintenance of that. Then we have the people that actually fly them, the people that actually target for them. So there is quite a few jobs within the Reaper rather than just somebody flying it. There's a lot of the supporting operations that help that job out. Super cool, super good opportunity. Not many people can say they've ever worked on a drone or helped with the mission of a drone. So it is really cool. kind of tag to put on your resume even, whether you do it for 20 years or even if you just do one enlistment and you decide the military is not for you. It's kind of cool to always have that with you where you did the 6 years, you had a great time learning a new job and a new capability with something that on the civilian side you don't really get to do. And along with that primary unit mission, they do the cyber intelligence. So that's where it's the gathering the intel for who to target and what they're going to target. A lot of it is very hypothetical. We do some deployments out of there. They don't do as many. It's a lot of training and making sure everyone is kind of prepared if anything does happen. So it's a lot of what if type training and a lot of preparing for the world to kind of go to shambles if it ever does. And then along with all that, every base needs every supporting mission. Communications, just making sure the telephones work on base, making sure the computers work on base, all the Wi-Fi and the network, the internet connection is good and solid. Something as simple as that is very important to those drone missions because without that, they can't really fly. You have the force support, which is what I kind of fall under with making sure that we get more people into the military. Can't really have a guard base without anybody that wants to join. So we got to keep that up. We got to make sure people want to stay in the military and kind of get everybody excited to continue their role as a part-time Air Force. Then you go into logistics, which is more of the supply chain, making sure we have all the right equipment, making sure all the equipment is up to date, make sure it's all safe for everyone. Security, which was my prior job. That's a lot of, it's kind of a military police. You sit there at the gate, making sure nobody's coming on base that doesn't need to be on base. You make sure that you're following the rules on base, whether it's speeding, stop signs, stuff like that. It's a normal kind of city within a little city. Medical, same. A lot of nurses, a lot of aerospace medical, they consider it. We get our flu shots every year. Any other shots that you need to keep updated on before you deploy, things like that. They take care of all that. They do some dental work and dental monitoring, making sure you have all the physical needs or physical readiness to be able to deploy and things like that. They keep track of all that. Finance, making sure you get paid, whether it's the 1 weekend a month, whether you work full time like myself. It would be a lot of work to just do it for free. So finance is heavily relied on to make sure that we get the benefits and the pay that we're supposed to be getting. And then finally, civil engineering. As easy as it sounds, it's a lot of clearing the roads of snow, mowing the grass, making sure the roads are paved properly, making sure there's no potholes in the roads, stuff like that. They do a lot of simple work like that, but then they get more in detailed with making sure new projects are on track and underway, whether it's a new building that we just put up for our intelligence people. So they do a lot of the kind of carpentry, masonry type work, but there is different avenues within the civil engineering squadron that you can go with HVAC and things like that as well. So a whole list of jobs, something that actually gets you some real hands-on experience, and you actually earn college credits for it as well. I think on the next one, it tells you, the next slide that we'll go to, tells you some of the great benefits with the 100% tuition assistance to any North Dakota State school. So NDSU, UND, down in Wapton, NDSCS, BSC, things like that. We do also provide tuition up to the the highest tuition, which right now I think is UND. So we would pay you up to what UND, or what we would pay for UND if you want to go to UMary or University of Jamestown, where it's a private college that costs a little more. We will still pay you up to a certain amount, just not 100% of that tuition. Still gives you a lot of money towards that school, so you don't have to worry about as much debt coming out of those private schools if you really want to attend those. The other benefits that you get every month while you're going to school, you will get the Montgomery GI Bill, tax-free while you're in college. It goes off of a day-to-day basis. So say you start school in August and you only went to school for 20 days, it'll divide that 369 into 20 days instead of the normal 30. So you still get paid, just not quite that full amount for the months that you don't fully attend. And then the normal monthly paycheck, when you're doing your drill weekends and things like that, you do get paid for those 2 days. It's a simple 7:30 to 4, Saturday and Sunday. So you don't really have to miss anything on Fridays or Mondays for that kind of flowing over into the normal week. So it's a nice little monthly paycheck that you get. And the next one actually tells you the job incentives. So some of our jobs have signing bonuses. Some of them have the GI Bill kicker, which most of the time, if you see a cash bonus, you're going to see that monthly GI Bill kicker as well. So you have the possibility of getting $10,000 up to $20,000 in a signing bonus. They do spread it out a little bit. Right now, I think for first enlistments, it's the first half 3 years into your enlistment, and then the next half is going to be at your 5-year mark of your enlistment. So splits it up a little bit, but it's still a lot of money coming in when that time does come for you. That monthly GI Bill kicker is an extra $350 while you're going to school. So the 369 on the last slide that we had, you add the 350 to that as well as you're going to school. That one is the same, where it's based on how many days you went to school that month. So it might not be the full 350, but that can be spending money, that can be money for rent. It does not have to go to school expenses. So it's just kind of that extra incentive for you going to school and then you being a part of the military. We want to make sure that if you are going to school and furthering your education, that you're not left out to dry with nothing as an extra incentive for that. So with a couple of those added together, the monthly GI Bill kicker, the normal GI Bill, and then your normal pay, it's right around that $900 or so that you could be receiving just for doing your 1 weekend a month and going to school. So like I said, you could even have your tuition paid, get paid while you're going to school, even have another full-time job or a part-time job on the side. You come out on top after your 2-year or 4-year degree. You come out on top quite far ahead of somebody that didn't join the National Guard, whether it's the Air Guard or the Army Guard. So, and yeah, the next couple clicks on here is going to actually show you what you could earn. Yeah, $939 every month while you're in college, all for working that 1 weekend a month. And that always goes up as well. That $220 a month is what you normally see for someone that's a pay grade of E3, which is going to be a airman first class. So as you progress in rank and everything like that as well, that monthly drill pay goes up. So right around that $1,000 a month just going in your pocket as you're working 1 weekend a month and going to school. Next slide, you'll see just our basic enlistment process. It's going to be fairly simple. So we just need to see what jobs you qualify for. I think most of the seniors so far this year in the Bismarck schools here, I believe they've done the ASVAB. If not, we can always get you set up with one too. But that's just a basic test giving us a score of what you do qualify for job-wise. Then past that, there is a physical exam as well, making sure that some jobs you need to lift a little bit heavier weight or possibly lift heavier of a weight, whether it's a firefighter, security forces, things like that compared to your finance jobs. So getting you qualified for test-wise, test score-wise, and then the physical portion are key to letting us know what we can actually do for you for what jobs are available to you. Then that second step is that job exploration. So all the jobs that I went over earlier can be a possibility depending on scores, depending on that physical exam, but we would narrow that job list down and show you what you qualify for, let you explore those jobs, whether it's on the job shadowing, you can go to their supervisor, see what they actually do, and see if you would like it. I mean, we don't want you to just read a job title and be like, that sounds interesting, that sounds what I want to do, and then you get there and it's not really quite what you expected. So we kind of slow the process of enlistment down to where you get to kind of do that job shadowing and see if it's something that you'll truly enjoy doing for 6 years at least. And then the next step is kind of finalizing what job you truly want. Then we write up the paperwork and we get you enlisted. The soonest that you can enlist at that bottom there is first day of your senior year. With the Air Guard, we have to send you to basic training and tech school within a year of enlisting. So just to give us a little buffer period, we always state right around the middle of summer to your first day of your senior year, you're able to kind of enlist, and then you have to have your high school diploma or GED in order to ship off to basic. So then we wait for that to come in, and then we can get you to basic, get you to your tech training and everything like that. So that was the last slide. I know the last slide says, thanks for visiting our base. I know it's very virtual, but hopefully that kind of gave you a good overview of what the Air Guard is, what we kind of do, our main jobs, and hopefully it makes the process of either talking to me, talking to some of the other recruiters in Fargo, hopefully it makes it less scary to you, unexpected, not knowing what the military or the Air Guard is in general, what it can offer. Hopefully it lightens the load a little bit, and then that way provides hopefully enough information for you to make the right decision.
Awesome. Thanks, Brandon. So we did have a handful of questions that have come in. So the first question is that you mentioned that you could enlist while you're still in college or even after. So what is the age range? I suppose what's the age limit to when someone can enlist for the first time?
So enlisting for the first time, you just actually have to be you have to leave for basic before you turn 40. So the Air Guard or just Guard in general allows you to enlist even later in life. Because I've had a couple people ask how old can you be and still join the Air Guard. So the Air Guard is, have to be 39, leave before you turn 40, leave for basic. But it kind of gets a little bit join different branches or different components, whether it's active duty and reserve. So Air Guard wise, just have to be 39 and leave for basic before you turn 40.
Wow, that's a great opportunity for a lot of people. I knew that the Air Force and Air Guard had a little bit of a higher age limit in comparison, but that's great.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. Even when I went down to basic about 8 years ago, I think two or three of the guys that I went down there with turned 40 during basic. So kind of sucks he missed a birthday,
Well,
but they were definitely happy
yep.
that he was.
For sure. So the next question is the difference between joining part-time or having a full-time job. So is there a difference in how you enlist if you want to do it part-time or full-time, or is it just those full-time opportunities like you have? You just see a job opening come up and you apply for it. Kind of what's the process between the part-time and full-time?
So the process of that, you enlist as part-time. We don't kind of give people full-time opportunities right away. It is kind of like a job. You see those posted out there. Uh, if it's something that is within your career field, you can apply for it. Uh, you might have the opportunity to do that full time. It goes through a kind of a simple interview process, making sure they pick the right candidate. Um, but with mine, since I was prior to security forces, um, getting this job, I actually had to go to recruiting school. So there is opportunity to stay security, and you want to have a full-time job, but the full-time job that you want on base is finance. You would end up having to go to a finance tech school, and then you actually switch jobs at that point. So you are no longer the previous job that you truly. So there is quite a few full-time opportunities. It depends on what career field you choose. Some have more than others. Um, but no, there's definitely full-time opportunities after joining. But first initial part of getting enlisted is going to be a part-time gig.
Okay, awesome. So the next question that we have is about the GI Bill. And the question is there ever any situation in where someone would have to pay back either maybe their signing bonus or any portion of their GI Bill or the kicker?
So with the GI Bill or the kicker, there is not. As far as I'm aware, there's no situation that you would have to pay back. The one part, so with our tuition assistance, we consider it a reimbursement program. So you take a loan out or you pay for the school up, and then we make sure you pass the class, have the average 2.0 average um, at the end of that semester, and the Air Guard pays that back for you. Um, so it's not a true like, hey, go to school 100% for free. We kind of try to keep control of it, making sure that we keep your grades up and everything like that. So there's some times where some people have to pay if they're not quite motivated for school that might have to pay that semester. Um, Usually they never do that more than once, just because it's a lot of money that you're missing here if you don't keep that.
Absolutely. So typically in those situations, it's more of a case where you don't get that reimbursement for, say, that semester as opposed to having to pay the military back. Is that
Yeah,
more accurate
yep,
representation? Okay.
yeah. There's not too many times where you have to pay things back. As soon as say with the bonus, the cash sign bonus, any money that you get paid for that. Uh, so say you enlist, you get that first half of the bonus at that 3 year mark, and then for any reason, say you accidentally get medically discharged for any reason, at that point you wouldn't have to pay that back. You just wouldn't get your second half, if that kind of makes sense.
It certainly does to me. So yeah, no, that makes sense. And then okay, so moving on to the last question. So the last question that has come in so far. So attendees, last call for questions if you do have them. The Army National Guard mentioned that there are some additional time type things that they are called to do. And, the big example that they gave was filling sandbags. Are there similar additional time type things that the Air National Guard gets called to do?
So yes, there is certain times that we do get called for extra duties. We actually call it state active duty. So it's usually coming down from the governor saying, "Hey, we need our National Guard to help us out," whether it's for flooding, um, with this virus that happened last year. There is quite a few Guard people that still they're getting paid, but they volunteered to kind of help out, whether it's with vaccines, whether it was with the testing sites, things like that. So a lot of it, uh, North Dakota is very kind and very fortunate to have a lot of people that want to help and want to do things like this. Um, so a lot of it ends up being very volunteer based. There isn't any time where we're forced to do things like this. Uh, if they absolutely need it, then yes, we kind of have to step in. That's what we signed up for. But there's quite a few people that volunteer to help. I know that we helped with sandbagging a couple of years. A lot of the people just volunteered to kind of help out because it was something that they could help out with their community. I don't want it to sound in a negative light, but it does help for um, kind of resume. There is kind of a resume or a progress report within the Air Guard. So doing volunteer stuff, volunteering for things does help out with that. So it makes yourself look good. But I know a lot of it just because us North Dakotans really like helping out each other. We're just a giant family within the Guard, and then just within our state, everyone kind of is that North Dakota nice. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know we always hear about the sandbags, but we've had a lot of floods in the last, um, you know, I suppose at this point, 10 years. But, it's pretty easy to look around the state of North Dakota and our community and see those National Guard folks supporting the different things that are going on in our state and our local communities. So the last question, and I ask this of all of our panelists as we're signing off, but what advice would you give typically I say to a high school student, but since the age range is so broad, what advice would you give to somebody who is thinking about enlisting in the Air National Guard?
Um, so the best advice I could give would be um, just to sit down and talk with a recruiter, whether it's Air National Guard or National Guard, especially if you want to stay within the state. Um, we're more than happy to help you with any answers, any questions that you have. I know that most of us around here aren't very pushy. We're not going to try to get you to join if you just have some of the. Um, so I would say make sure that you're getting all those questions answered. With us, like enlistment process said, we can get you 100% qualified. And if you decide for any reason that you want to join, we're not going to hold it against you, and that is completely your option. So I would say if you have, you definitely can go through the process, see if the Air Guard is a true possibility for you, and then you have 2 years from your ASVAB test and your physical to decide if you want to join before those scores and that physical kind of expire. Uh, so we've had quite a few people do that where they get qualified really and something happens within their family or something happens just within their life where they decide it's not right for them at that time, and that is completely okay. So I just urge people to get out there and get those questions answered that they have about Air Guard and the military in general.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Brandon, so much for lending your expertise to today's presentation. And thanks everyone for joining us today. Our next career discovery webinars will be next week and will feature 2 webinars on careers in education. So if you've ever considered becoming a teacher, a counselor, librarian, or other educator, please join us next Wednesday, March 31st, and next Thursday, April 1st. Both webinars will be at 4 p.m. and last for 30 minutes to hear what being an educator is all about. And of course, all career discovery webinars are recorded and put on the Career Compass website on the Career Discovery tab. To see what's coming up, view our upcoming presentations, and to see what we've already covered, visit our past presentations tab. All right, thanks everyone so much for attending today, and we will see you next time. Bye.